recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will get right to it. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate the opportunity to have the conversation. Is there any doubt in your mind that the Iranian regime is the largest state sponsor of terrorism against the United States and our allies across the globe?
None, Senator.
None. So when we look at this, I take a step back and it's frustrating for me because I see this administration take a posture of appeasement. When I'm looking at it, you look from the decline of the strategy of maximum pressure under the previous administration to kind of where we are now. And I'm thinking if we all agree that Iran is the largest state sponsor of terrorism, why wouldn't we be using every tool in our toolbox to make sure that we prevent them from benefiting financially? And so we've seen Iran's oil profits soar since January 2021, reaching over $80 billion and counting, and its steel exports have actually increased twofold. So I guess my question is, has the Biden administration's enforcement authorities, have your sanctions enforcement authorities been limited at all since you've gotten to Treasury?
No, Senator. We've put in place 571 sanctions against the Iranian regime, and I know that we've spoken personally about what's happening with steel, where we've sanctioned the top steel producers in Iran, and the steel they're selling today is illicit and illegal. We have to do more and must do more to cut off that illicit transaction, but those companies have been sanctioned by us.
So let's talk about the steel specifically. What more do you think we could be doing? What tools do you need, or could we use at a greater level in order to crack down on that?
So, Senator, one of the things we have to do and that we are doing is working closely with the intelligence community to find out how they're illicitly selling what is illegal steel at this point, to go after those nodes that are helping them to do that. So what you should expect is we're going to continue to take actions there. One of the reasons I'm here, though, is that you mentioned oil. And while Iran is selling oil, one of the challenges they're having is getting the money back to Iran, given what we're doing in the financial sector. The thing that I am worried about is that Iran will increasingly turn from using the formal financial sector to move their assets and increasingly use cryptocurrency because we don't have tools
If
there.
you just look at where you are right here on, so if you look at, we hit Iran's oil, you mentioned the oil exports receipt, they reached a 5-year high last year of 42 billion compared to, if you look at the 2020 numbers, 7.9 billion. What do you attribute to that difference?
One of the things that the Iranians are increasingly doing is they're consistently looking for ways to do everything from ship-to-ship transfers, using the gray fleet, using intermediaries to try and sell their oil. While we've put in place more than 500 sanctions against Iran, what we're finding is that the Iranian regime, given their desperate need for cash, is doing things to try and get around our sanctions. So we're going to continue to use our sanctions authorities, but ultimately that is going to continue to make it more costly for Iran to try and get around them, but they're going to continue to try.
Are there any given the data points of this past year and it being a high versus where we were in 2020, are there any tools in your toolbox that you're not using to the fullest extent possible?
So, Senator, I think the thing that I've asked my team to do is to come back to me and talk about what else we can do. And I think the key for us is not only what the United States can do, but how do we build an international coalition, frankly, because one of the things that we benefited from in the past was that it wasn't just the United States acting, but we were acting alongside our allies and partners. And while today we've been able to get other countries to come alongside actions we've taken against UAVs when it comes to Iran and some of their military components, we've been less successful in terms of going after their petrochemical industry. So I think part of this is a diplomatic effort to get other countries to join us in taking those actions, because what Iran is doing is that they're moving their petrochemical industry into the shadows, and they're doing things that have fewer touch points with the U.S. dollar, which is a thing that I can use. So we need to get other.
Are there loopholes specifically that they're using with regards to Russia and China that where we need to close those?
So in terms of the petrochemical industry, they're actually a competitor to Russia because fundamentally they're selling the same thing on the market. So I think they are not working together in this space. I think from my standpoint, we're using the tools that you've given us to try and impact them. using our dollar-based tools, but they're often trying to transact in ways using everything from fund companies to other currencies that require us to build a broader coalition.
So last thing, I only have a few seconds left. When you look at the switching gears at the Corporate Transparency Act for small businesses, what are you doing to ensure small businesses are aware of those new reporting requirements?
One of the things I'm personally doing is speaking to small business interest groups and talking to them about what we can do to try and make sure that the small businesses they represent know about the act. And I think one of the things that we would appreciate is working with your offices so that we can go back to your district offices and do presentations about how small businesses can sign up. Fundamentally, what we know is that the vast majority of small businesses throughout our country want to do the right thing, will want to sign up. And by doing that, it allows us to find those illegitimate small businesses that are often creating threats. So I'm happy to work with your office to set up webinars in your district, to send people down to your states to help make sure your small businesses are aware. But we're launching an all-out campaign to make sure that small businesses throughout the country are aware of the need to register.
Excellent. I just want to make sure that they have that outreach. So look forward to working with you on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Cortez Masto of Nevada.